Hi, it's Miozan here from Zen Buddhism Ireland, and we're continuing with our reading of Suzuki Roshi's Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. We started off last week looking at the preface, and now I want to look at part one, right practice, and the first chapter in that is called Posture. Um, I said last time that the first couple of chapters of Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, really is a kind of a guide to sit zazen, and and I think it was David. Someone left a comment last week saying that in fact the entire book doesn't make much sense unless you actually sit and practice zazen. Uh, Zen is about sitting. It's about practicing. It's not about reading books about Zen. It's a direct experience rather than a mediated experience, and that's what Zen is about. Now I'd like to talk about posture. Our Zazen posture, says Suzuki Roshi. When you sit in the full lotus position, your left foot is on your right thigh and your right foot is on your left thigh. Now, of course, lots of us can't do the full lotus position for very long with great comfort. Um, so, sitting in a cross-legged position, as described by Suzuki Roshi, you are embodying, he is saying, the teachings of non-duality, uh, not one and not two. So, what does that mean? I mean, this complex koan, this complex riddle at the center of Zen, that regarding non-duality. What does it mean? Well, take for example myself. Am I independent or interdependent? To say I am not interdependent is simply not true. To say I am not independent is simply not true as well. I am both independent and interdependent. I am not independent and I am not interdependent. Uh, so, reality, in fact, is not one, not two. Reality has a non-dualistic character, which appears to be kind of contradictory in our Western rationalism. So, um, so the first thing about posture in Zen, as offered by Suzuki Roshi, is that the posture itself is a teaching regarding the non-dual nature of reality. Um, each one of us is both dependent and independent, in, both dependent and independent, as he says. After some years, we will die if we just think that's the end of our life. This will be the wrong understanding. But on the other hand, if we think that we do not die, this is also wrong. We die and we do not die. Slippery business, this Zen Buddhism. So I think uh, there's a suggestion here, I suppose, why Zen is a direct encountering of reality as it is, rather than as it is mediated through some kind of intellectual understanding. So it is beyond the conscious mind, but inclusive of the conscious mind. Uh, uh, Zen being a very practical manifestation of the Buddha Dharma, Suzuki Roshi goes on to describe the posture of Zazen in great detail, just like Dogen Zenji did in Fugan Zazengi. Uh, and he describes how we sit. The most important thing in taking the Zazen posture is to keep your spine straight. Does that mean military straight? No, that of course is the natural S of the spine, the natural curve of the spine. Uh, Too many people who are sitting are bolt straight up, very rigid. Of course, we're upright, with our chin naturally, not forcibly, but naturally in a little bit. Crown, the straight back of the neck, and the the head supporting the sky, the shoulders relaxed, the weight going into the earth. So, and our back straight, upright more rather than straight. Relax your shoulders, push and push up towards the ceiling with the back of your head. Push. It sounds strange. This should all have a kind of a natural ease about it. Your hand should form the cosmic mudra. If you put your left hand on top of your right, middle joints of your middle fingers together and touch your thumbs lightly together as if you held a piece of paper between them. This is the mudra in Zen. Here we go. Kind of an oval shaped, very light. This can be a great barometer during sitting of falling asleep, or of 2/10. We can measure the temperature of our sitting with our mudra. This is resting on our lap. He talks about Suzuki Roshi in this chapter on posture of having two eggs underneath your arms, and that piece of paper between your thumbs. Some beautiful images there to help us assume the posture, which some have seen the posture of Zazen as a kind of an enactment ritual of the Buddha's original Shakyamuni's original awakening. Your hands should be held against your body with your thumbs at about the height of your navel, center of energy, the hara. Hold your arms freely and easily. You should not be tilted sideways, backwards, or forwards. You should be sitting straight up as if you were supporting the sky with your head. Good practice when you begin to sit is to find your center of gravity, to give you a sense of being centered. You see some monks doing this. You can do a wider circle as well to loosen up your hips when you're getting ready to sit and find that balance. So Suzuki Roshi is really giving us some very practical pointers in how to sit Zazen. This is not just form or breathing. It expresses the key point of Buddhism. It is a perfect expression of your Buddha nature. If you want true understanding of Buddhism, you should practice this way. These forms are not a means of obtaining the right state of mind. To take this posture itself is the purpose of our practice. When you have this posture, you have the right state of mind, so there is no need to try to attain some special state. When you try to attain something, your mind starts to wander about somewhere else. This is absolutely key. To stop grasping, to stop chasing, to arrive here and now, to stop trying to achieve and attain, to control and grasp, to allow and to open. This is what Suzuki Roshi is suggesting. When will I get enlightened? When, this idea of gradated or gradual stages towards enlightenment. This is all a hindrance in this understanding that here, now, sitting Zazen, this is practice enlightenment, as Dogen Zenji told us in the Shobogenzo. So we don't have stages where we start with one type of breathing and give up another, move to another type of breathing, move to another type of practice. A lot of meditation schools in different traditions and schools of Buddhism have this. Shinkantaza is the purity, what we practice in Zen. Shinkantaza, just sitting, is the utter pure experience of the Buddha Dharma. The utter pure expression. When you do not try to attain anything, you have your own body and mind here, right here. Okay? Doing something is expressing your own nature. We do not exist for the sake of something else. We exist for the sake of ourselves. As Kodo Sawaki said, Zazen is useless. It has no utilitarian function for something other than itself. It's useless. So, sitting meditation, sitting Zazen can help us be peaceful, or people come to Zazen with a whole range of motivations to deal with anxiety or depression. Of course, meditation helps with all these things, but the point of Zazen is itself. There is nothing to achieve other than sitting Zazen. This is the great secret. This is the great subtlety of the art of sitting. The treasure trove, the treasure chest is open to those that do not seek with great craving to find it. This is the fundamental teaching expressed in the forms we observe. Just as for sitting, when we stand in the Zendo, we have some rules. But the purpose of these rules is not to make everyone the same, but to allow each to express his own self most freely. Again, a great riddle or koan at the heart of our practice. For instance, each of us has his own way of standing, so our standing posture is based on the proportions of our own bodies. When you stand, and he talks about standing in the Zendo, but yes, that's the other thing, that this non-attainment, this non-grasping means that we're not trying to achieve some perfect ideal form of Zazen. Great pictures of Kodo Sawaki sitting, or Deshimaru, or some of the great masters sitting, such beautiful form. It's a mistake to try and be them. Be yourself with your body, sitting Zazen as best you can. So we all have our own bodies, and we have to enter the spirit of as it isness in our Zazen. The most important point is to own your own physical body. If you slump, you will lose yourself. Your mind will be wandering about somewhere else. You will not be in your body. This is not the way. You must exist right here, right now. This is the key point. So posture is absolutely central. To inhabit the body and the body-mind. Again, no duality between the body and the mind in our understanding. The body and mind are one. So it is through the body that we enter the way. It is through sitting correctly and assuming the correct posture. You must have your own body and mind. Everything should exist in the right place, in the right way. Then there is no problem. But usually, without being aware of it, we try to change something other than ourselves. We try to order things outside us. But it is impossible to organize things if you yourself are not in order. When you do things in the right way, at the right time, everything else will be organized. And again, rather than trying to manipulate reality in our sitting, we have the non-discriminating mind, which accepts everything that arises in our sitting, be it painful, pleasurable, the bliss we can experience in sitting Zazen, or the pain that can rise up from our experience in Zazen. There's no such thing as a bad sitting and a good sitting. All sitting is as it is. So try, and the foundation, of course, for all sitting and for Zen, for Zazen, is the posture. We'll move on to the breath soon, or I think David is going to take the next chapter. So try always to keep the right posture, not only when you practice Zazen, but in all your activities. And he goes on to say, this is the true teaching. The teaching which is written on paper is not the true teaching. You know, a lot of people ask me, you know, I'm very interested in Zen, what books should I read? You know, of course we're reading a book here. Studying Zen and studying the sutra and the sutras and reading about Zen is very, very helpful. But the point is to sit. So rather than study a lot of books, go find a group, find a sangha that you like the flavor and feel of, that you feel at home with. Go and sit with them. Sit zazen every day. That is the point. This is the true teaching. The teaching which is written on paper is not the true teaching. Written teaching is a kind of food for your brain. Of course, it is necessary to take some food for your brain, but it is more important to be yourself by practicing the right way of life. This is what his enlightenment was, the Buddha's, he goes on to say. Enlightenment is not some good feeling or some particular state of mind. The state of mind that exists when you sit in the right posture is in itself enlightenment. If you cannot be satisfied with the state of mind you have in Zazen, it means your mind is still wandering about. Our body and mind should not be wobbling or wandering about. In this posture, there is no need to talk about the right state of mind. You already have it. This is the conclusion of Buddhism. So, to the point, direct, beautiful style from Suzuki Roshi in teaching about stopping grasping, stopping the struggle, the foundation that is the body, the posture to our practice, how ordinary our practice is, and how it's non-discriminating. Whatever arises is accepted, and that there isn't this grasping to become a Buddha, to become enlightened, to become some kind of guru who's constantly has light shining from his eyes or her eyes and has this kind of saintly smile across their face. No, this is human and this is ordinary, and that's why it's so profound. And it has to do with experience in the here and now that is direct rather than mediated. But a more subtle and complex understanding is that reading a book may be mediated experience, but it is also direct experience. I refer you to the painted rice cake chapter of the Shobo Genzo, where representation is itself a reality. Interesting complexity in Dogen's understanding. So, the posture. Read the chapter yourself. When reading it, see the wisdom of Suzuki Roshi, and please understand that it isn't some kind of rigidity, some kind of statue that you assume for half an hour, do walking meditation and assume it again for half an hour. We are human beings, we move, we adjust, we are mountains walking. The mountains are not statues that are unmoving. The mountains are walking, they are moving, they are living. And we are the mountains walking when we sit. We adjust our sittings, the weight shifts, we make little adjustments, our breathing gets deeper. We're not statues when we sit. Please understand that when you read Suzuki Roshi's beautiful description on correct posture here in Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And how he talks about posture to point towards the teachings of non-duality, non-discriminating mind, and giving up the fight, giving up the grasping, to dwell in the here and now. The next chapter is breathing. And so next week, I think David is going to offer us a reading of the breathing chapter, which in my edition starts at page 29. So I look forward to that. If anyone has any comments about this today, you can leave comments on the Zen Buddhism Ireland Facebook page, the Facebook group. Or you can even leave comments, ask questions, have a discussion between us all. And next week it's David on breathing. And yes, if you want to contact me, my email address is myozankodo@gmail.com, myozankodo@gmail.com. And do check out our Facebook group, Zen Buddhism Ireland. So thanks so much for your practice.